Today Lian releases another set of fans, but this time these are the first fans, the first UniFan fans that are focused solely on performance. So right here we have Lian UniFan P28, which come in black and white version, and they come in size of 120 millimeters. Now the thickness of these fans is 28 millimeters. They also have liquid crystal polymer blades, fluid dynamic bearings motor, and 3-speed modes, which will be quite interesting to check out in quiet operation, balanced noise per performance, and of course we have the maximum performance. As with all UniFans, the P28 can be interconnected, which is always a handy thing, especially when we're taking into consideration less cable clutter and better cable management for better cable organization, which is always appreciated. But UniFans started this, and basically it's only common sense to continue with that tradition. But that's not all, because these fans also support two clusters that can be bridged with an extension cable, so you can basically connect them the same way as the SLV2, not with them, just the same way. For those of you guys that still want RGB, P28 has an optional side RGB strips that can be interchanged with the original side panels quite easily. Now you can control the fan speeds and noise level with, I already stated it, but with the proper terms: silent for L, normal for M, and performance for H. I would say like low, medium and high speeds for the fans. The thickness is, as I already stated, 28 millimeters, and the increased thickness results in higher performance, giving you a better balance of airflow and static pressure, which is ideal for both air cooling and water cooling with your radiators. The distance between the blades and the chassis of the fan is 0.6 millimeters. With 9-blade design, which basically adds more performance, less vibration and quieter operation. Now, before we go any further and discuss comparison between all UniFans so far, and by those I mean the V2 versions of AL, SL, let's check out the box contents. So we have here, let's see, these are 3 separated cables, PWM, which can be directly connected to the 4-pin header right here on the fan. Now, comparing them to SL or AL, they have only 4 pins. Usually we have 6, I think it was 6 pins. You get 12 screws, you get additional, I would say it's a smaller controller that when you daisy chain them, well, basically when you interconnect them all together, so basically you do this as such, there we go, and you use one of these cables and connect it to this side where the 4-pin connector is. With this, you can do such things as connecting the PWM header right here to the end part, and then you can connect this part to your motherboard. This gives you a possibility with the button right here on top to adjust the speed, so L, M and H. And honestly, this is really good, because I've seen a couple of fans with the same, well, not the same, but in terms of same configuration, where we're talking about switch that gives you an option to adjust the fan speeds. This one doesn't have it on the back of the fan. So imagine placing a fan on your case and you flip the switch to certain position, and the issue is you have to remove the fan to remove the switch again. This way, the switch is right here and it's quite easy to adjust it. So you don't have to remove the fan from the radiator or from the case and adjust the fan speeds to your liking, so L, M or H. Then additionally, we get one more cable, which is right here. This is the cluster one. So you connect this one to the other side and you have another 4-pin, which basically clusters to another 3 fans. This is basically it. So checking out everything right as it is, you don't need a Lian controller to control them through their L-Connect software. This goes directly to your motherboard and basically the controlling goes through BIOS. So the L mode goes up to 1300 RPMs, the M mode goes up to 2200 RPMs, and the high mode, the H mode, goes up to 2600 RPMs. This gives you an option to basically adjust the speeds up on front and then adjust more through BIOS with the fan curve depending on the temperature and stuff like that. What I notice is that the design, when we're talking about the UniFan housing, it's a bit different than the standard UniFans that we had, like ALV2, SLV2, or even Infinity ones, because the shape is different. We don't have any RGB right here on the stock fans that come right up from the box, but we do have on all four corners rubber pads for less vibration and for dampening all of that. Now, removing the side panels and switching them with the RGB is quite easy. You do have to use a bit of a force and then use a screwdriver to deattach the second part, which is right here, as you can see, because it hangs on to the housing of the fan on the sides. So you can't do it with the finger, and if you try to pull it up, it will, well, I don't know, because I didn't try that, but it might break right here in the middle where the bend is coming. So what happens is, when you place the part back, you use the screwdriver to push it in the middle, and that way it reaches the next part and helps you remove the part quite easily and without any problems in terms of concern that you might break the side hinges that hold on to the fan. The only difference between these UniFan, when we're talking about the visuals and the cables, of course, to the standard UniFans that I reviewed and overviewed in the past videos, is when you decide to add RGB to these fans, you get additional cables. So you don't use the L-Connect software. You use, as already stated, BIOS and directly connection to your motherboard. When we're talking about the Rgb side panels, they do interconnect. So this is quite important for you guys to know, because if you daisy chain them like this and you place 3 Rgb side panels, they interconnect between and you get only one cable out. So basically, when we take into consideration standard UniFans, that like SL or AL, which have only one cable, in this scenario, if you add RGB, you'll have 2 cables, one for RGB and one for the motherboard. This way, you basically also have to connect it to your motherboard, so there's that. So let's check out the spreadsheet when we're talking about comparison. UniFan P28 in all modes, UniFan SL V2, UniFan AL V2, and UniFan Infinity ones. So you can see the difference with rotational speed compared to the airflow, air pressure, and maximum noise level. It basically comes to the point with the maximum rotational speed of the UniFan P28. They create maximum maximum airflow with 92, compared to others it's like 30 CFM more. Even on the medium ones, 77.76, we get much greater airflow in CFM and higher than on all other UniFans. And the low mode is actually 4494, which is lower than any other UniFans. But when we're talking about decibel range, at high rotational speed, it goes up to 32.1, which is by 3 decibels higher than any other UniFan. But the medium one, the medium speed, is 1 decibel lower than ALV2, SLV2, and SL Infinity. All, of course, comparison with 120mm fans. And when we're talking about the air pressure, it still goes higher, even by 0.6 than, for instance, UniFan ALV2. For the SL Infinity and SLV2, it's almost above 1mm H2O. So basically what Lian Li created right here is what they stated, first UniFan dedicated to performance. Even though you do have to connect them to BIOS and you do have the L-Connect and everything else, even though that would be really outstanding. But you can still connect them like this. You can cluster them 3+3, which is outstanding. You can even add Rgb Lights, side panels, quite easy, and interconnect them as well. So basically, you won't be adding too much cables, you'll be adding one compared to the other UniFans. And the performance, I would say the golden middle is the medium one, the medium speed, which brings lower decibels, a bit higher rotational speed, but higher airflow and higher air pressure. So guys, I think the medium one is just epic. And comparing everything all together, I would say this mode for me personally takes the win, and I would most likely place the medium setting up in the system, because the comparison shows you the maximum of everything. But I would say, all in all, this is a sweet combination. If you're looking more for performance than aesthetics when we're talking about the lights, because after all, the aesthetics on this one, I don't see anything wrong with these. So yeah, perfect. Lian UNI FAN P28, 120mm black and white, 3 modes that you could adjust with the small controller that you connect to your PWM cable. You can cluster them 3+3, and that's all there is to it. Guys, performance enthusiasts, you can check these out in the link in the description. And that'll be all for today. Finally, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. See you very soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.